and the Transition Authority is requesting for more time to be able to fully transfer centralized services that have now been devolved. Officials say the time allocated for them to oversee the transfer of services is too little, and hopes that Parliament will consider adding the authority more time. Well, they were speaking after meeting Devolution Cabinet Secretary Mwangi Kiunjuri in his office. Mwangi has just returned from that particular meeting and now joins us live. Murumi, what else was discussed in this morning meeting?
Now, a very interesting meeting here that brought together commissioners from the Transition Authority and officials from the Devolution Ministry. And the agenda was the term of the Transition Authority is coming to the end in the next 3 months. They were supposed to have fully implemented all the provisions of the 2010 Constitution with regards to matters devolution by March 2016. But that has not happened, and what they are requesting for now is an extension of time so that they can fully implement devolution. Of course, it's been a very complex new system of government that was not there before. And among the key areas that they say they've not been able to fully implement has been coming up with a policy on the rationalization of the modalities for the sharing of resources between the national government and the various county governments. Of course, very many other issues did emerge in that meeting today, including the persistent conflicts that have been there between members of the Council of Governors and the Transition Authority over what the Council of Governors has been saying has been consistent frustration from this Transition Authority and the Devolution Ministry on matters of implementation of devolution. But the statement from the new Devolution CS Mwangi Kiunjuri is that these stakeholders, not only the Transition Authority and the Devolution Ministry, but as well as the members of the National Assembly, the Senate and the Council of Governors, have now to sit together and come up with a recommendation that is going to be presented in Parliament for the extension of the term of the Transition Authority to situate that all the facets of devolution that came with the implementation of the new constitution have been fully implemented. Of course, again, this is the first major move by the new Devolution CS, who ideally is a former politician, and his position has been that in as much as this ministry has been dogged by so much of a spotlight over issues of corruption during the time of the predecessor, Ms. Anne Waiguru, he's coming in with some new tactics to not only fight graft, what he says, but to also situate that devolution is fully implemented. And the spotlight of that, of course, was the argument that they need to sit together with all the stakeholders to come up with a framework upon which they can now persuade Parliament and the Senate to approve the extension. They are recommending an extension of 1 year, during which time they say they will be able to fully implement the provisions on devolution. But interestingly, looking at the 1 year, then that means the closure of the term of the Transition Authority is going to be closing in at the time when the country is preparing for the next election. So perhaps others might argue that it's a strategy of the ruling Jubilee coalition to situate that perhaps they have made some headway in the implementation of devolution, to use that as a scorecard in the coming general elections. And the minister could not accept or deny that, because he says, as a person with experience in politics, at some point, in as much as you are a cabinet secretary and the constitution does not allow you to meddle so much into politics, at times you have to apply some political tactics to situate that what the agenda that you're trying to pass across gets to pass through. And that is what has been happening here in readiness for the presentation of that framework now to Parliament and the Senate, so that there can be an extension of the term of the Transition Authority for full implementation of the Constitution's provisions on devolution. Betty.
Right, Muremi, just before I let you go, well, they want that particular extension, but did they talk about some of the successes that they've had in the past 2 years in regards to devolution, considering the issues that have come up from the counties, including what you mentioned, misappropriation of funds and corruption? What is it, did they say that, they had any successes in the term that they have been in office?
Of course, for them, the most obvious success was having the framework for the 47 county governments across the country, and for the past 2-3 years, having a mechanism upon which funds can be disbursed from the national government to the counties, in as much as there has been an acrimony on the share of national revenue that is supposed to go to the counties. But as you said, devolution has been, I don't want to say it's been a stubborn bug that has been biting the Jubilee coalition, because there have been very many complaints from the Council of Governors with regard to disbursement of funds for crucial services, including healthcare. At one point, the Council of Governors did raise concern that even funds meant for the free maternity services across the counties, which of course was a brainchild of the Jubilee administration when it came to power, has been dogged by so much strain, some counties having to do without those funds. And so it's going to be interesting to see if Transition Authority gets this 1-year extension, if indeed they'll be able to come up with those modalities with regards to not only the sharing of the national kitty, but also allocations for the various crucial services, some of which interestingly had not been given enough allocations in the previous budgets that we've seen the various ministries and the various dockets in the county governments getting from the national kitty. Betty.
Thank you very much, Muremi Mwangi, there reporting, of course, on what Mwangi Kiunjuri, who's a cabinet secretary for devolution, and of course officials from the Transitional Authority, what they had to say earlier on during a press briefing.